Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all well. I am joined. I thought I'd do a live show because I've not stuff this week, and I just thought it'd be good to chat about Newcastle. Busy week at work and all that, so it's nice to put my attention to something else. I'm joined by my brother and my dad again tonight. So good evening, Andrew. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Nice to be here.
How is it in Essex?
Not as windy as it is up there, I believe.
No, it is. It's a little bit wild up here. It's not too bad. How is it in Northumberland, Dad?
It's very wet and windy, absolutely lashing down, and the wind blowing the rain straight into the house. We had a power outage about half an hour ago. We lost the power for a split, a few seconds, and then it all came back on again, thankfully. But it's biblical. Yeah, absolutely right, Peter. Good evening, everyone.
Biblical in Bedlington. There's a nice ring to that. It's obviously not too good. I before I came on here, I did a little bike ride. As some of you know, I'm doing a little bit of a challenge this year. Got a ride up to a place for 100 times. I'm running out of days to do it. So I got home from work, went out, got on my bike, travelled 7-8 miles away, whatever it is. Got up, climbed. I don't know. It's like 800 feet up, isn't it? It's quite a way up. And then I got there, my pedal broke, and so I had to cycle back in the sleet storm with one pedal. But I did get home, so I was quite impressed with that.
Well done.
Thank you.
Right, you've had some fun on that route lately, haven't you? With trees falling down, pedals falling off.
Yeah. The last time I did it, you're correct. There was a tree that fell down. Thankfully, not onto me, but it did fall down.
True.
So, evening, Neil. Evening, Peter. We've already said hello to you. Peter's hoping the game gets postponed tomorrow. Give Howe a little bit of extra preparation time. And obviously,
the weather's not that bad down here, though, I'm afraid, mate.
Obviously, we'll talk a lot about the game this weekend, and of course the game on Tuesday, because we've got 2 games in 3 days, which is I don't know if that's exciting or daunting, but it's happening. So we'll see. Evening, John. Connor, evening. If there's any man prepared, it's Howe. I was just saying to my brother there, Andrew, offline, he was that I was reading the quotes from Tyndall's press conference, and apparently Eddie Howe has been in touch 6 times a day, and he's been watching every training session from multiple angles. The guy is a workaholic. And you had another thought about him, Andrew.
Clearly he's a madman. I think that's possibly more the truth. I mean, he's been locked in a hotel room for a week, which can't be great.
Yeah, I suppose you may as well keep yourself busy.
I'm imagining it's some sort of scene from a spy film with all those. He must have multiple monitors and computers set up in there. But good for him. Like the Batcave.
I bet there's all sorts of technology going on there. I heard the other day that they were saying at the Brentford game, Tyndall was obviously in touch with Eddie Howe, but apparently the infrastructure at St James's Park is so bad that they were worried that the Wi-Fi was dropping out and that kind of stuff. It's just that's how bad it all is. So anyway, I think it was fine in the end, but it's interesting.
They're building a new gym.
Yes, I did see that.
Or a fitness suite or whatever they called it.
Yeah, right next to the changing rooms. They've knocked a hole in the wall. Again, signs already that the club's improving and giving the players better stuff that an elite Premier League club should have. Thunder snow in Durham.
Wow.
I can believe it.
Serious. Evening, John. Just cold in rugby.
Yeah.
Peter's been chasing his wheelie bins around. Put a brick in the bottom of them.
Total shame the amount of cans flying around the yard. Good lad.
Had a power cut.
There you go. Jay Scott's had a power cut, Dad. So you were lucky. Maybe we might lose you midstream if your power goes. So Luke says morning all. So I'm guessing you're on the Atlantic or the West Coast, maybe if it's morning. I don't even know. Even that would be a push, wouldn't it? Where are you? Where are you, Luke? Australia?
LA?
Yeah.
No,
But LA is like 8 hours behind. That would still be afternoon.
Australia, yeah, it could be early morning Australia.
Yeah. Morgul, storm raging in Northumberland. John says a draw tomorrow would be a good result. We'll get on to our predictions for the game a bit later on and obviously talk about the game. Norwich evening, 2 or 3 degrees warmer down south. No chance the match is cancelled. That's kind of what you were just saying, wasn't it, Andrew? It's tropical in the south. It always is.
Yeah, I mean it's going to rain tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. But and it might get to about 3 or 4 degrees by 3 o'clock tomorrow. So.
Yeah, it'll be a good winter Premier League match. It might give it. To be fair, bad conditions might help us a little bit. I don't know. It might, it's just one of those levelers in a sense, isn't it?
Can be.
Evening, Blakey. Evening, Mark. About an hour, JB. Usually, we do about an hour, roughly. No one wants to hear us for longer.
He's got plans. He's off out.
Yeah, he's in a rush. Needs to go somewhere. Not great near Hexham. So let's talk about this then. Paul says, bad move rushing Howe back for tomorrow, in my opinion. It's just asking for extra scrutiny. I don't think the evidence is there to suggest Howe's symptoms were in evidence prior to last Friday. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of his symptoms, but let's just talk about the fact that he is going to be there. Dad, do you think that Howe being there is going to be a good thing? Or, like, obviously it's a good thing, but like, could it be the difference between us coming away with nothing and coming away with a point?
Possibly. I mean, it'll be a good thing that he's there. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, it was just a shame last weekend he wasn't. But I think the impact of having it on the sidelines and being able to get his messages across straight away rather than through the medium of Tyndall, etc., must be better. Whether it's enough to get us any results, I'm not so sure. It's a tough match, obviously, and I think we'll do well to come away with anything. If we do, it'll be. I mean, like somebody said there before, a draw would be a great result, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you think, Andrew?
I agree. I think he's not a talismanic figure just yet, but he is the new manager, and I think we need a new manager boost. And I think so. Him being there last week might have been the difference. We might have got a 4th goal with it if he was there on the touchline. You just don't. It's all hypothetical, of course.
Yeah, you don't. No one really knows, do they? But I mean, there was some comments. I think it was Tyndall actually who said that it was a bit of a blow last week to the squad, and it did take a bit of wind out of their sails. Now, we still obviously played well. Like, there was loads of positives to take from last week. Obviously the defensive issues aside, there was loads to be positive about last week.
But I think, as we said though last week, the positive, the defensive stuff, and we conceded 3, end of. But like 2 of those goals, I think it's on another day they don't go in. The keeper saves that first one, the third one doesn't get deflected on another day.
Or deflects over the bar or something or whatever.
It's all hypothetical, of course. And we need to sort that out because, as you said before, we're on course to concede 90-odd goals this season if we don't fix that. So I'm not pretending it's not an issue. But I kind of look at it and think he's going to have a plan. I don't think Arteta is as technically genius as some people have kind of given him credit for. I think, he's got a settled team now. Which has been half the problem with Arsenal, really. They've been impatient, and that post-Wenger thing was always going to be a problem. So, I mean, he's clearly going to do all right, but let's see. I mean, we've got a dreadful record down there, and I think everything we can get on the touchline, on the pitch, the better. So, I'd have him. I'd definitely have him there,
Yeah, I obviously agree with you. I mean, clearly having him there is going to be an advantage or a benefit because, like you say, he's the manager and it's his tune that everyone dances to, essentially. So, it's good that he's with the players. The problem is we're playing Arsenal, who, are 5th in the league. They have played well. They lost last week quite badly, but apart from that, they've been on a really good run. Their recent form is decent. The only problem I think from Arsenal's point of view is they actually don't score that many goals. I think they've only scored 13 goals or something this season, and I think we might have even scored more than them. I'll put the league tables up in a minute. So I think that although we're poor defensively, we're playing a team who don't score loads of goals despite being 5th in the league. So
do you know what the aggregate score of our last 5 games against Arsenal is?
It's probably horrendous. Yeah,
12-0. 12-0.
Yeah. But I think we're a different beast. I genuinely believe that. The way we played against Brentford, and it's going to be a real test, obviously, against Arsenal. But if we can play anything like we did in an attacking sense, then we should. I think we'll score goals. Like I think there's goals in our team, and I think that we'll see that going forward. The massive question as to whether we'll stay up or go down will be whether we can stop conceding as many goals.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Yeah, I mean,
the last time we scored against Arsenal was a home game in 2018, 18-19. And the last time we beat them was when we beat them at home in 17-18.
Yeah, the thing is with stats like that, there's always a time when that run will end.
Yeah.
So therefore, you A, to score a goal, and B, maybe even beat them. I was just sitting here thinking it's almost 20 years since we went to Arsenal, when we hadn't won in London forever and a day. With that, when we won 3-1 on that, that was early December.
Was that when Henry threw his spanners out the pram, as it were? He went mad.
Yes.
He went at the end of the game, the ref and stuff, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the good bad runs come to an end at some point, don't they? Even the poor teams, and we've seen that a few times the last couple of weeks with some of the results, haven't we? We've seen teams, get a result when they were least likely to get one. So
absolutely,
it can happen.
There has been some crazy results, and ultimately, look, I know we've not played well for most of this season, but eventually, we will get a result. We will win a match, whether it's this one or not, who knows? But even bad teams win games eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah, Norwich have won 2 on the spin. So
yeah, no one would have predicted that. No one actually would have predicted that. Apparently, Howe's record at Arsenal isn't great. I didn't know that. I've not looked into that. So that's great. But yeah, a point would be great tomorrow. And lots of people saying this, if Bradford was in goal, if Dubravka was in goal, we beat Brentford. Morgul says Dubravka stops 2 of those goals. He has to start tomorrow. Connor, Big Marty D will be back between the sticks tomorrow, hopefully. What are your views on that, Dad? Do you think first of all, do you want him in? And second of all, do you think he actually will be in?
Well, I wanted him in last week, so there's no doubt I want him in tomorrow. And I just think he probably will be in. I mean, if Howe has looked at it and looked at those goals from last week, and not just the goals, it was the overall performance from Darlow. He was as nervous as a kitten for loads of the time. I mean, there was one opportunity when he came out of his goal last week, and you think, where are you going? What are you doing? He was just all over the shop in terms of. And that only spreads, panic amongst your defenders, doesn't it? Although some of the defenders weren't without blame either, but it does stem from the goalkeeper being nervy and jittery. So yes, I think he should start. There has been another thing with Darlow, though, hasn't his partner or wife or whatever just had a baby and he's on paternity leave, and there's whether that's an excuse for to leave him out. Read that.
Professional football, famous for taking paternity leave.
Yeah. Well, it just said that it might be an opportunity for Howe just to say, I'm just
take your paternity leave, son.
A couple of weeks off you
go. But generally, I do think Dubravka will be back in goal tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he will be, actually. I think that decision will be made, and I think, like you said, Dad, his performance against Brentford there was just so much wrong with it. Like, and I don't want to beat up on Darlow, because I think I think he is a decent backup keeper, but he showed to me that he was a backup keeper, and nothing more. And he looked a bit nervous. His distribution was rubbish. He should have saved the first goal. People were blaming him for like all 3 goals, but I don't think you can blame him for the 3rd goal.
No, not at all. That was just bad luck, I think.
Yeah,
I think you mentioned the distribution there. I think the way clearly Howe likes to play as well will involve keepers needing to be. I mean, the modern game requires keepers to distribute anyway, and that was poor last week.
It was. To be fair, he did do one thing really well, and that was the clearance out to Sam Maximin for his goal, because he found him. Yeah. And then Max then turned and played the ball out to Fraser and got the return. It was the longest one in history, wasn't it? Really, it was
an absolutely brilliant goal. That actually underrated goal. That cross by Fraser was just.
It was absolutely brilliant. The finish was a gem as well, though, because it's not easy taking the first time coming in like that. So it was a good finish.
Yeah, it was. Again, everything about it was kind of a bit underrated, wasn't it? Like Darlow's play out, Fraser's cross, Sam Maximin's finish. It was really excellent.
It was good. It was well, yeah. I mean, it's what you want to see from your midfielders, and it was what you want to see from ASM. So, let's hope there's a bit more tomorrow. You have to change going back to that, you have to change the keeper. When I saw the team sheet last week, I was actually quite shocked. It was almost like seeing Emil Kraft in the defence. Sort of, it was seriously, I was kind of like, I just really wasn't expecting to play. And after we said this last Friday night as well, it was like, you'll definitely play the best goalkeeper in the squad. Surely there wouldn't be a reason for him to not. And I think the thing that struck me is when Ivan Toney came out after the game and said, "Oh yeah, we looked at the keeper and we just knew that if you hit them hard and low, you'd score." You're like, yeah. If professionals are looking at that, thinking it was a good shot, but it wasn't like world class. He should have been closed down a hell of a lot quicker as well.
Yeah, he should, but ultimately the shot was.
It was too close to the keeper.
For a Premier League goalkeeper, he should be saving it. Absolutely. He should have been saving it.
Absolutely.
It was just so disappointing because it was literally like less than a minute after we'd gone ahead. And, to not retain the lead for any longer than that, it was just...
You running the shower, Dad? You all right?
Oh, is the storm coming through the window?
Can you hear it on the window?
Is that what that was?
Is that the weather?
Yeah. I don't know if you can. I don't know if it would show. It's probably too dark.
I'd get some cardboard on them, Dad.
Yeah. Honestly, it's wicked.
Jordy, next point here about Dubravka. So I can't remember who mentioned this. I heard someone say this, and they said whenever Dubravka's fit, Darlow goes to pieces.
Yeah.
And there's some truth in that, I think. And obviously Dubravka's now back. He was playing for Slovakia. He's actually started to play football again, and then all of a sudden, Darlow, has probably his worst performance of the season, I would say, as a whole. Maybe he feels the pressure of that number 2 status, really, knowing that if he messes up, he's out.
That's it. There was a comment just before that, Ian, which was about what would we feel if Darlow's still in goal tomorrow. There will be a meltdown of the fan base if Darlow is in goal tomorrow. Honestly, I just don't think. I think we'd be disappointed, clearly.
I go back to the idea that when Graham Jones was in charge, he kept putting Emil Kraft in the defence.
Yeah. But to be fair to Kraft, Kraft actually wasn't the problem. He wasn't actually the problem in those games. But I take your point. Like
he's a championship defender at best.
Yes, but actually, out of the defenders we had, he actually. But I take your point. I do take your point.
Why does Joel think it's still going to happen that Darlow's going to be in there? Does he just
pessimism, Dad?
Pessimism, yeah.
14 years of utter misery, and inexplicable decisions.
Just not being able to understand why anything happens at Newcastle the way it does. We're all conditioned like that.
We are.
There's transfer rumours about goalkeepers. We keep getting. I know that you can't always take it. It's a pinch of salt in the press, isn't it? When what you read, but
we've also been linked to a few defenders, midfielders, and attackers.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, and every other player who is worth a bit of something. I get it, but there has been some goalkeeper talk, and I do wonder. I don't think it's a priority to sign one, but it is an issue. If Dubravka does get injured, you are just left with someone who can be hit or miss, and then Woodman isn't quite up to it yet. So you might see another keeper coming in on loan.
Yeah,
I guess
is Darlow actually good enough as a backup? I don't know. Maybe he's not. I don't know. I don't think you can't put all the blame on Darlow for all our problems.
No. How old is he?
No, you can't. And I think he's had decent games this season, and the times when he's probably saved us points. So I think it is a bit harsh, but there's no doubt that Dubravka is a better keeper.
Yeah. Well, Pickford has little hands and Darlow's little fingers, based on his glove antics last week. Ellen says Darlow's hesitation to come and clear the ball led to the third goal, which is a fair point, I suppose.
Just stop you here. How old is Carl Darlow?
He's about 30, isn't he?
Yeah, he's early 20s. No, he's 31.
31.
He's I knew that.
Retirement.
And then Dubravka's 32.
Yeah.
That's
mad.
Yeah.
There you go.
Asif says number one has to be number one on the team sheet. I would have him in. I've said this. I've said this so many times. You play your best players, and to me, Dubravka's better than Darlow. There's no real competition in that. You just play him. You just have to play him. This is interesting. From Norwich. It said that no team after 12 games at the bottom of the league has ever survived the drop. Even a record like this can be broken. Let's make it happen.
12 winless games, I think is what you mean. Yes. No wins.
Yes. So I think that I was desperately looking for a really good tweet that I saw midweek or just after the Brentford game when everyone was going mental about the fact we were bottom. And, I keep saying, like, the only thing that's important, you don't get relegated in November, no matter how bad you are, or December or January for that matter. And ultimately, what's important at the moment isn't whether we're 18th, 19th, or 20th or 17th. It's about how small is that gap to safety. And after all was said and done last weekend, results went against us. I get that, but the gap to safety remained the same. And although not ideal with Watford winning and obviously Norwich winning and that kind of thing, we're still only 5 points from safety and 7 points from a couple of other teams. Now, what I think is there's been lots of examples of teams who have been 5, 6, 7, 8 points adrift with like 9 games left and have survived. So I think as long as we keep, I don't want us to do that. I don't want us to get to like the last 7 or 8 games and have like 7 points to overturn or something, because it's very rare that happens clearly, but it can happen. That's my point. And people are freaking out about the fact that, and I get it because we've played so much of the season and haven't won. And
a third of the season, nearly
a third of the season. Yeah. So I do understand where they're coming from. I just think before Howe came in, I always said, look, let's take these 4 fixtures before we panic and see what we get from them. And getting a point against Brentford, I did say this, we needed to be prepared not to beat them. Like, fans needed to prepare themselves for the possibility that we weren't going to beat Brentford. And of course we didn't, because football's not that simple. Like, how many times have we had seasons where we've gone on to play teams and we've been like, we'll just be... I remember playing Fulham like years ago. It was maybe the first time we went down. It was like, we'll just beat Fulham and we beat Middlesbrough and we'll be fine. Mm-hmm. And then we didn't beat Fulham.
No.
And we weren't fine. And so it's not always straightforward, but that was much later in the season.
I think if you look at the 4 games, I think you're right. And I think if we let's draw tomorrow, right? Let's say we get a point tomorrow, but we win the next 2 games. At the end of that 4 games, you're unbeaten in 4 and you've taken 8 points. And at the start of that run, you'd have gone, that would be amazing. Mm-hmm. That would be beyond our dreams at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm not, again, a long way to go in that clearly, but we're going to have 2 games played, another 2 games played by Tuesday. So we'll actually start to have a sense of maybe where we're going.
Yeah.
If we get hammered tomorrow and then we lose to Norwich, then I might start kind of thinking about trips to Doncaster again or whatever, But
I think if we're unbeaten in these 4 games, we'd actually then be unbeaten in 5 games because we drew a Brighton the week before, didn't we? So we're putting together a little run. The crucial thing, like we said last week, it's these 4 games and these particularly the 3 home games were critical. And of course, if we can get a point tomorrow, then the games against Norwich and Burnley are just massive. They're absolutely huge. And
they really are.
I think the Norwich one particularly, because it's the first one of those two, obviously, and you play them as you get them, don't you? And because of Norwich's little run, and because of them without a new manager, it's going to be a big task on Tuesday night. But do I think we're up to it? Yeah, I think we should be looking forward to it and thinking we can beat them. So
I mean, he's definitely going to have them. I mean, the way we played against Brentford, there's no way we're not playing like that against Norwich or Burnley at home. So we're going to be all out going for those things. Going for three. That's a guaranteed effort for 6 points, no doubt. Tomorrow, he says he doesn't set up to lose or even draw. So we're going to go and try and win tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
And there'll be a way to do that. Maybe it won't be as gung-ho away at the Emirates. Who knows? Because they've got players who can bang in goals really quickly. Aubameyang's got a really good record against us. Players like that. So let's see. But it's again, we say, is it a free hit tomorrow? Kind of is. The fifth.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at Arsenal, though. I mean, like I said, they haven't actually scored that many goals this season. No. So that should give us a slither of hope tomorrow. And they do concede a few. So there's an opportunity there. Now, I'm not trying to say that we're going to roll up to fifth place Arsenal and beat them. Far from it. But I just think they showed last week that they weren't a top side. They're a good side, and they'll probably finish fifth or sixth. But then they're not the elite teams. So, and ultimately, the Premier League's always been a league where any team can go and get a result pretty much anywhere, really, apart from maybe with one or two exceptions to that. So, a draw tomorrow wouldn't shock me. I think it's unlikely, but I don't think it's impossible either under Howe. Like, I genuinely think that I'm more confident and more positive about the fact we might go there and get a result than I was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So what else do we think will happen with the team then? Because obviously Dubravka was saying we would like him back in, but there are other decisions to be made in the defence and midfield, isn't there? In terms of who should come in from the team that started last week. What do you think? Personally,
I don't think he can play Willock and Shelvey again in the centre of midfield. I think
Shelvey plays.
I'd bring Hayden back in personally, because he's a bit more defence minded, and Shelvey, the way he played, is going to play. And I think that Eddie Howe's made it quite clear that Shelvey is very much in his plans. So I can't see him dropping him. So I would say that. I'd like to see a little bit more of a protective midfielder.
Think he'll go four at the back or stick with a three?
I think he'll stick with the three. To be honest, I think he'll stick with the three and the wing backs.
I tend to think you're right. So the wing backs then, because I mean, we talked about that whole defensive situation last week. The wing backs were equally as culpable as some of the central defenders in terms of those goals. And in fact, in the first half, particularly, we were getting ripped apart down.
I mean, the amount of times we turned to each other, Dad, and we just couldn't believe how much room there was behind the back. It was it was embarrassing. And if we turn up against Arsenal and do that, then we just looked at Arsenal's goals for column. That'll rocket. That number will shoot up, because we just can't play a team that have the quality that Arsenal have in their squad. I mean, we conceded 3 against Brentford. We cannot keep conceding 2 or 3 goals every game. We've got to somehow find a way of tightening it up.
Yeah, agreed. I think I agree with you with Hayden. I would bring Hayden back in for the reasons you said, Ian. He's more defensively minded. I think he's got to strengthen the midfield. I think he's got to make us, for all the extolling the virtues of going forward and scoring, I think we do have to be a bit savvy as well. That we need to be a little bit, thinking of strengthening that midfield and stopping their runners getting in behind with, because if they do, then they'll score loads of goals.
That's why I asked about the 3 at the back as well.
Yeah.
I think because that system he played last week also 3 up front. Remember, and that's a pretty full. That's balls out kind of territory at Arsenal, isn't it? I mean, that's
I'll tell you what was interesting. I read the other day was that Dummett's now fit.
Sorry, it's just a family channel. Sorry. You know what I mean? Though it's kind of it's pretty in your face, isn't it? It's not like it's not subtle. It's kind of you know like all right, 3 up front. Here we go. I don't know. We do that at the Emirates.
No.
I wonder if he'll go 2 up front. Maybe more
you're right. He might play Willock and Shelby, but also an extra midfield. Yeah, he might bring Hayden in for like. Well, who do you drop though? You're not going to drop Sam Maximin. You're probably not going to drop Joelinton or Wilson, are you? So
you kind of dropped Joelinton or Sam Maximin after last week's performance. I would have thought. I think we've got to be brave in those forward areas, and Wilson will play better than he did against Brentford because he had that one really good header early on in the game. Which could have gone in, but it went just past the post. But I just think we need. I just want us to see be a little bit more, as I say, streetwise, and just a little bit more thinking about the defensive part of the game because I think it's important.
I think. I mean, one of the things I sort of wrote about this week was that. The priority for Howe this week, obviously his priority in that first 10 days was getting us playing more attack-minded on the front foot, making the opposition worry about us, which I think worked. But I think his job this week will have been, I'm sure that the training would have been focused around defensive organisation this week and keeping it tighter and whatever formation and system he's decided they're going to play, working on that all week.
Mm.
I can see him. I wonder. He has played 4-2-3-1 before. I'm sort of thinking that there's that masterclass video there where he played. When they beat Chelsea, Bournemouth beat Chelsea away, and they sort of talked. There's that video watching him sort of chatting away with the old pegs on the pitch, and he's talking about how he set things up. And I wonder if maybe it's not the same, but you've got to find a way to nullify their attack. But in that video, he talked about you've got to nullify their attack, but you've also got to be asked players to do multiple jobs. So like when they're defending, you're doing a job. It's like American football. You have a sort of defensive lineup, and then you switch to an attacking lineup.
Yeah.
So when you're in possession, when you're not in possession, that's kind of, that should be every game, except when Steve Bruce is your manager and everyone you don't ever have the ball. So sort of
or a plan.
Whereas now, clearly, we're going to try and have more of the ball. They're 20 yards further up the pitch, but the danger is, of course, you get caught. And in the long run, I think he'll fix that. But you've got to find a way to nullify Arsenal. I mean, that comment there about Richie as fullback. I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know if Dummett's fit again.
Well, he is. I was trying to mention that before, but I don't think he'd be involved because he's just come back. Well, it does give us, in the coming weeks, through the busy schedule, that we get and against some of these better sides, that we have a defender who's probably, was one of our best defenders when he was fit, and he's not the most exciting going forward or anything, but he's just solid, and I quite like Paul Dummett. I think he was very vastly underrated at times.
He's underrated. I agree. I think that's right. What's the deal with Lewis then? I mean, we've got a left back there who seemingly can't get a game, and I know it's early days under the Howe regime, but like, what's going on there? Why? Is he just not up to it? I didn't think he was that bad when he first signed for us, and he came with a lot of hope and expectation. So
he's been bruised. Certainly.
Well, yeah,
he lacks confidence, and the more you're not playing, the less confident you're going to feel as well. You can't get a game if they're picking Matt Ritchie ahead of you.
I think it's one of those situations, isn't it? You got a young player who they buy. He's not coached particularly well because we all agree that Bruce wasn't particularly good at coaching players and getting the best out of them. He gets thrown in the side. He played some games and he looked pretty decent. But then once we start losing and the confidence starts to sap, then young players are vulnerable in that place, aren't they? They're the ones who, looking to the older professionals to guide them. And to be honest,
and then there's nothing in that squad because
and also what happens is younger players then become the scapegoat for a lot of the yells and our fans. I mean, maybe Lewis wasn't up to it. I don't know, because I've not actually seen him play when I've been in a stadium. So sometimes you're watching on a television set, and sometimes you don't get the true overview, do you? So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I until I see him actually play, I can't judge. And I think I'd like to see him play under Eddie Howe, obviously, to make that judgment.
Yeah.
But he's obviously got some talent. I mean, there were clubs in for him at the time we bought him, weren't they?
Liverpool were in for him, apparently. Yeah. So he can't be too bad.
There must be something, in the stats.
And also, he played. He's been playing well for Ireland, Northern Ireland, by all accounts. In the recent qualifiers. So it's all a bit weird. Helen's saying perhaps the coaches are just working on the defensive skills, but with the same players. I think that's a fair shout, actually. It could well be an unchanged team, possibly with maybe just keeper changing, which I think Helen's other comment was, actually.
Well, her other comment suggested that Howe not being at the ground might affect that. But I think Howe's been at the ground more than Bruce certainly was. And he's been there just because he's watching it on. He's got cameras set up everywhere, so he's sort of he's dialing in 6 times a day.
Six contacts a day. Yeah, he's been. Yeah. I bet he'd be absolutely raring to go. But so I think that's a real possibility. That it could be almost an unchanged side. I just think I don't think there'll be many changes regardless, and I think. There's talk about going forward at the back. I don't think he'll want to change the formation after one game when you're stepping into an away game against Arsenal. It doesn't seem like the right time to do that. So, but there is an argument for that kind of thing, where when you look at the players we actually have available.
I was reading about Fernandes again tonight, because Tyndall made some comments in his conference, didn't he, about him being a world-class player and leader, and yet we haven't seen him. And he wasn't even on the bench last week, which was mightily strange. And then there was that situation where he said, when Jones didn't play him on the put him on the bench either, because if he was good enough, he'd be in the team, and it's no point putting him on the bench because it was just a ramble.
That was an odd comment, wasn't it?
Very odd.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he's been the guy leading all the anti-Saudi protests outside the ground or something.
I mean, the thing I'm thinking of with Fernandes is what we said last week, isn't it? That he actually, we were expecting him that he might get the call, and maybe he should come in. I mean, Clark, with the best will in the world, Fernandes, you would think would be a better option.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean,
so again, going back to your point here, that we play your best players, surely. Dubravka, Fernandes should actually be able to get into this team. But again, until
maybe after a couple of weeks, the fitness levels have gone up. I mean, Shelby's interview this week said that he's going to bed at 8:00 in the evening. He's that tired after training. So that's what he said in an actual interview. He says
he's not playing Fortnite or something. Whatever he says,
not work. He's never worked as hard.
They're all done in, but that's good, isn't it? Because it does mean that when it comes to a game,
100%.
A game's only an hour and a half. It's not all day or morning. It's just so.
Yeah. Well, during those first couple of days of Eddie Howe's training, it was quite a. There was one of the things, wasn't it? It's like we train as we play. Like we're not messing around on the training ground. We're going to be high intensity on the training ground because that's how we need to be in matches. So. We're going to raise that level. And someone made a comment earlier further up the stream. I think I showed it, but I can't remember. But they were basically saying, in transition, that's where the fitness will come in, and and help us. Like when we're transitioning into attack, and you've got the pace and that's when you need your fitness to kick in and actually be able to maintain that throughout a match and not just do it for 20 minutes. Like
imagine Sam Maximan with an extra 10% fitness.
Exactly. To be honest, I think we already saw a bit more of that against Brentford. Yeah. We hung around with them.
Well, I think when you look back at the stats,
and we were pushing.
You look at the stats at the end of the game, and you had us having 52% possession. I mean, that was the most possession we've had for ever in a day, it seems to me. So that was a key factor, wasn't it? That we had the ball more Now, I'm not saying that it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow, actually, in terms of the stats. I mean, 23 shots at home, you know, I mean, again, that was way beyond what we've been achieving, isn't it? I'm not saying we're going to have 23 shots tomorrow because I would doubt it. But I think it'll be interesting to see how that those sort of stats pan out, and, you know, whether we will have the ball a bit more than we've been used to, even in away games.
I think we will. Because I think that's the way Eddie Howe sets his teams up.
It won't be as low as 20%.
Whether we'll get over 50% is debatable, but it might be like 60-40 or something.
Yeah.
And you'd like to think that within that we're doing more with the ball as well, because obviously it's not just about possession; it's about what you do with the possession. But I again feel more confident that
I think we can expect
Howe,
quick counter-attacking.
Yeah, we'll have more chances.
That's what it'll be. Quick counter-attacking, definitely. Because I mean, particularly, you know, when you're playing away, you're always fighting against. I mean, the home crowd, and that means the Emirates crowd, they can turn very quickly on their own players if it doesn't go well. So, you know, as long as we're battling and we're in there. What I think one of the Bruce capitulation that we had in the FA Cup last year and in recent games, where we just go in and it's going to be 3-0 or something, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the key things from last weekend that was definitely different, and we sensed it when we were watching it actually in the stadium, was just the fact that we weren't playing as many square balls back to along the line of the defence. It was actually when we got the ball, the forward players were encouraged to run forward with it, and actually we were playing a higher line anyway, so we were starting further up the pitch. And I know that then leaves you susceptible to what Brentford did, that they got in behind us, and maybe as a balance there. But what was really nice was actually seeing players turn and move forward with the ball. And Joelinton was obviously one of the key sort of exponents of that. I mean, you know, just the simple task of running into the opponent's half, getting their defenders on the back foot rather than them, you know, just being square on it. It just was very noticeable that we were much more offensive in the way we were playing last week. So hopefully that will continue to be seen tomorrow and in the coming matches.
Here's a question for you. Shelvey and Joelinton obviously took a lot of credit, rightfully so, for their performances last week. And the question is, you know, was it a one-off, or can we expect to see, you know, a higher level of performance from them, you know, more consistently going forwards? What do you think?
They need to. I mean, I think that's the first thing to say there is, you know, it's not really an option for them to be slacking off or not be consistent. I think what I've liked so far is that clearly the manager has sort of said, this is the role I want you to do. And it's made it very clear. So, because I think the pressure, I mean, Shelvey gets a lot of stick and probably rightly so, but he was left in the midfield with Bruce. He was the key man for Bruce, but that was kind of spray the ball 70 yards to Allen. Kind of, that was sort of the technique. Whereas I think the role is much more defined here. And I think what we saw with Joelinton last week was very defined. Do this job. Make breaks, stay wide, you know, cut in, all that sort of stuff. It was all the stuff he did was because he was told to do it. You know, and maybe that, yeah, it's what it's called, coaching, funny enough. And so that he made it very clear. And what he's clearly done is Howe's examined the squad, and he knows what's available to him. And there's no reason those players shouldn't be putting in decent shifts every week, because they are Premier League footballers and they're capable. We've always known that with Joelinton as well. He was never a centre forward, but he's always had flashes, which makes it all the more frustrating. Well, if he'd come in and been a donkey the whole time, he wouldn't be in the team.
Yeah. This is what Tyndall said in his press conference today about Joelinton. He said, ever since we've set foot on the training ground, the talent of Joelinton was there for us to see straight away. We believe there's a lot more to come from him, and we believe he will only get better. And he also added that the physical stats were extremely good. You know, is Joelinton, forget the price tag for a minute, is Joelinton, has he just been another victim of the Steve Bruce reign, and Steve Bruce not having a clue what to do with him, Dad?
Yes. I think we could say that about most of the team, but yes, I think Joelinton particularly. I mean, I always when he first came into the team, people were getting on him, but I saw glimpses of games where he played, and I thought, yeah, there's a player in here, that with better coaching and a better team, we might get more from him. And of course, it never looks good because of the way his shooting just went all around. It was powder puff. It's what we said. I said it last week, didn't I? And then of course, the goal he scored last week was absolutely superb. I mean, the finish was, was great. I mean, his overall performance was so much better because he's been embraced and being saying, "You're a good player. Go and do this for me." And
there's goodwill as well that the fans want him to succeed.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Because we're not all,
Can I just say something about this 40 million price tag? Because it always comes up, doesn't it? He's a 40 million pound player. He didn't choose that tag. And I don't think he was actually ever valued at 40 million. I think this was part of the overall thing. And did they really pay for it? He might have been a 20 million pound player. And if he was a 20 million pound player, would we be saying he's, the most expensive player in our history? He needs to be better. So I think he came with a price tag, which I think was very unfair on him. And I think he struggled in a side which was poor anyway, under a manager who was totally useless at coaching.
Bruce didn't sign it. Let's be very clear.
Exactly.
He'd already pretty much signed, hadn't he?
I'm just trying to be careful with my words here. That it just seemed an odd signing the way it happened. Rafa didn't want him, if you remember, but there was obviously something going on in the background between the club and the player's agent. We got him, but he's been saddled with this 40 million pound price tag.
The other thing to say about 40 million quid is it's only a big deal at our club. It's not like it wouldn't be a big deal at any top half team, would it? 40 million,
It's still a fair price, but I take your point.
No, of course it's a lot of money.
How much did we pay for Callum Wilson?
No, less.
Wasn't he free? Was he
released?
Was he a free signing, or did we pay a fee for him? I honestly can't remember, Dad.
I just by comparison.
Maybe someone can tell us in the comments, because I honestly don't
get that. Actually, we should know that, really, shouldn't we? But
we should know that, but I don't.
I'll look it up.
Urban Astra says, the way all you Geordie YouTubers talk about your new manager, I had to check he hadn't resurrected. Which is great. Look, we've had years of crap. Just let us enjoy anyhow while, before it goes wrong.
But in all honesty, with like that comment, that is funny, and there is a bit of like, okay, he's only done one game. We get it, right? But the last 14 years has seen Joe Kinnear twice.
Twice.
We've had Alan Pardew, and he was the best of it.
And We've had
Chris Hughton was all right.
Rafa.
Honestly,
Rafa we liked.
We liked Rafa.
Then we had 2 years of Bruce.
We've had Steve McLaren.
Steve
McLaren. God.
John Carver.
Bloody hell. John Carver.
All right.
Oh my God.
So yes.
Yeah,
we are talking.
Give us that we feel good about the new manager, because it's a wave of optimism. The fact that we're sitting bottom of the league.
The fact that it's a bizarre thing, isn't it? That the Newcastle fan base generally is quite upbeat at the moment, despite our position and having not won a game all season.
The other point I would say to the guy making that comment there is, the thing is, when Keegan came as a manager in 92, he hadn't managed. He'd been away from football, and it can be done with people coming out from outside, can't it? So we just see shades of that. But whether that turns out to be just false optimism, we will find out, won't we?
Yeah.
And if it's usual with us, it'll probably be all doom and gloom in 6 weeks' time.
If we go down, no one's going to blame the manager. 20 million was, that was what Wilson was.
20, yeah.
If we go down,
I can't
the
remember
manager stays and he'll get us promoted and people will love him.
Yeah.
That's the deal with this.
Yeah.
He's not, he's in it for the right reasons. There you go.
Yeah. So, there you go. So, Hoffenheim fans saying there's a lot more to come from Joelinton, apparently. So, Yeah, interesting chat about him. This is a good point from Jim. We sold Perez to Leicester for £37 million. So Joelinton is a 10% improvement on him. I just think,
Perez has won the league and the FA Cup since. So there you go. Was he in their league winning team, or was it after?
No, he wasn't in the league winning team. He has won the FA Cup with them.
Well, he has won the FA Cup with them.
Yeah, look, I haven't always defended Joelinton actually, but more recently I have because I feel like I could see just in the displays he's had this season that like someone mentioned about his touch being not great, and I think he's improved that, and his close control recently has been amazing and all that kind of stuff. And I think, like you were saying, Andrew, the fans on the whole, some people have written him off, and that's fine. But I think from putting my neck on the line a little bit and saying I think he's actually a decent player in there, I've had so many people sort of agree with that. And not in like, oh, he's world class and he's brilliant, but just kind of like, yeah, like there's definitely something about him. And it isn't just me, basically, is what I'm saying. So I'm not going crazy, basically. Other people see it too. And then the Brentford performance was brilliant. I just hope for his sake he now builds on it and he has a good run of form.
I think the bigger one to focus on tomorrow will be Shelby, actually, in terms of performance. Because to be quite honest, we all had written him off and we wanted him out of the team, didn't we? And then he kept him. And then
his issue is absolutely born idleness.
He had a much better game, but one swallow and all that sort of stuff. He needs to be on the game.
But I think if he doesn't play and he doesn't perform consistently, he's going to be out of this team.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that will be true for a lot of the players. If they don't perform, they'll find themselves out of the team.
They won't be playing, and if they don't perform and keep not performing, they'll be out of the club. So,
and to be fair, if some of them perform, they'll be out anyway because
because true.
The squad is made up of very, very average Championship and lower Premier League players. Yeah.
But I think we've got a bit in them. Joelinton was magic. He must have been watching this channel and got a boost from Ian bigging him up. Yes, I'm going to take all the credit. I'm sure Joelinton tunes in regularly. He just needs to score more. I'd love to see him score more. If he could just add 10 to 12 goals a season, we'll be happy with that. Morgul says, I love the short-term criticism of Howe from the outsiders. Probably the same guys who wanted Howe as England manager before Southgate got the job. There is a lot of this kind of mockery, I would say, of Eddie Howe. And, we don't know how it's going to go. It might go either way. But I really hope it works out for him because obviously it's good for Newcastle if that happens. But he feels like a good guy, and having read about him and watched what he does, you can see why the Bournemouth fans still absolutely love the guy because he works his socks off, doesn't he, for the club, and he does have good ideas, and his team plays nice football. So there we go.
You all right, Dad?
I've just noticed that the rain seems to have stopped, thankfully, for the time being.
Yeah. Danny Simpson won the league, though. He did.
Yeah, loads of players have won the league that you wouldn't expect. Yeah.
Do you remember the dogs abuse that Danny Simpson got when he played for us?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I don't rate him. I didn't rate him when he went to Leicester.
No,
even when he won the league.
He wins the league.
The beauty of that Leicester league winning team was that no one rated them.
Yeah. Well, they were a bunch of underdogs, weren't they?
Yeah.
In every sense.
That's why football's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree with that comment about we sort of a defence out will go up the league because we will start winning games because I think we can score goals.
Yeah.
And
I think DJ Earth here, evening by the way, evening to everyone who's joined us recently. He says sort your defence out and you rocket up the league. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think he's got a point because I don't think we'll struggle for goals, and I think if that is the key, if we can become hard to beat, we'll be absolutely fine.
Bit of a regular DJ, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I appreciate him coming along.
We're assuming bloke, but
he is. I've actually checked his channel out. He is a bloke. Is he
a genuine Sunderland fan?
He is. Yes, he makes
videos about Newcastle. So
he makes videos about Sunderland.
Right.
Yeah. So
you should go and comment on his videos. You should go and comment on his videos.
Pardon?
You should go and comment on his videos.
I should. I don't have time. I just so busy. Yes. Anyway, right. You'll be glad to know, Dad, that this week I've only had time to create one guess the player.
Really, really hard.
There's only one I can't get right this week.
So there's only one you can get wrong yet. There's no easy one. There's no hard one. There's just this one. So who is this? I don't know whether it's easy or hard. I can never tell.
Well, because you know who it is.
I think that is easy, actually.
I know who it is. I've forgotten the flipping name. Was he on loan?
No.
Oh, I don't know who it is then. Damn it!
No, he played for us for a few seasons.
All right then.
I don't know.
There's already people got it.
Yeah, of course they have. It's with the magic of these, when you put these up, my mind goes back. I couldn't remember who played up front for us in the 90s. Do you know?
I can't even remember the players.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Look at the kit.
Number 9 we had.
It's a wonder kit.
Who's that?
It's not that long ago.
And clearly, it's not that long. It's a Puma kit. Honestly.
Yeah. So it's not Wijnaldum.
Is it?
No.
It's not Sam Max.
Is it Anita?
No.
No. Oh, I don't know who it is. I kind of get these.
What did you say, Dad?
Anita.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
You got it.
You got it, Dad.
Well, that was pure luck, I have to tell you.
Well done to Blakey
and
Steve. Both said Anita. Very quickly, it has to be said as well. So well done.
It's because most of his face wasn't blurred. There you go.
I couldn't have told you Anita wore the number 8. I could see the number 8.
Huey Gallagher.
Yeah. Well, he didn't always. I don't think he always wore number 8, did he?
Yeah, that's what confuses you. See, you know, and which shirt is the other wearing, and you know,
well, you could see
I think the shirt was obvious, personally.
Yeah, it was, but you know, it's then trying to narrow it down, isn't it? Who could be anyway?
Right.
All I'm saying is it's not easy.
Yeah, Dad, you got it.
I know.
Be proud. Come on,
Huey Gallagher.
Right, let's finish with our predictions then. So, after all that we've talked about, what are you going for, Andrew, for your score?
I told you 1-1.
Right.
So I'll stick with that.
Just stick with that. Okay.
Have you done the slide?
I have done a slide.
I've gone 2-1 Arsenal.
Yeah. Okay. And I went for 3-1 to Arsenal. So
negative Nancy's, honestly. Look at that.
Yes. Well, you know, I mean,
well, that'll be right, Andrew.
Or realistic, you know. That's...
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Look, I just worry about our defence. I think we conceded 3 last week to Brentford. Arsenal are better than Brentford, and we're away. So I worry about that, and I worry about how it's going to fix that defence. I know we talked about it quite extensively in this particular episode, but I don't know if he'll have got it sorted for tomorrow. So I worry that we'll concede.
Yeah, we didn't actually land on an understanding of what he might do. You know. No. Beyond, you know, so yeah, it is an unknown.
I worry that. I just worry that actually it's not going to be sorted for tomorrow. I think, you know, Norwich and Burnley, different kettle of fish, really. They'll be Norwich have got as bad a defence as us, so you'd like to think we've got a better chance of, you know, getting ahead and winning that game. But
yeah, we've got to beat Norwich. There's no getting away from that.
I do like your positivity, Andrew. And you know, if we come away with a 1-1 draw tomorrow, I'll be absolutely over the moon. Absolutely over the moon.
I mean, so there's nothing in our recent record to suggest it will happen, but let's see. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So Blakey thinks 3-2, just like Highbury in '94.
Well, we had that one. Did we go to that one, Dad?
94.
No,
that
we
was
didn't go to
no.
When did we go to Highbury when the car broke down?
On 95, wasn't it?
That was the League Cup quarter final in
League
January '96.
Yeah,
yeah. It was the season we should have won the league.
When Ian Knight scored.
Jim reckons 2-2. That was the night Lee Dixon should have been sent off.
Yeah,
But
Ginola got sent off.
Yeah,
if you remember. And
then
he was never the same player again for the rest of the season after that game. He was
Lee Dixon. Well,
hey.
I mean, let's hope that happens. I don't know if there's a bit of like reverse psychology going on with DJ Earth. You know, he's just like, he's going to easily survive, he's going to win. But actually, really just wants us to lose. 2-1 the Toon. A high-scoring draw. 5-0 to Arsenal. I mean, that's not beyond the realm.
That's possible.
The range of scores that wouldn't surprise me in this fixture is massive. Like, we could be hammered, and it wouldn't surprise me. We could draw 1-1, wouldn't surprise me.
If Bruce was in charge, we'd be getting battered tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think the difference is now there's an element of bring Mark's score there, because we had this last week with Mark. He was like, well, to be fair, when it got the 3-3, I thought I was going to have to come in and apologise to the bloke and make a donation to charity or something.
Obviously, when we were actually in the ground, I actually turned to Dad at one point, didn't I? And I said, maybe Mark's prediction wasn't so stupid, because it looked like it really could be 5-4 at one point.
We could have won 4-3, certainly, but
so lots of people going. It's kind of a mix, actually. A lot of people, I'd say 50-50. 2-1 to Toon. Stop with those negative vibes, man. I don't know who you're talking to.
All very positive here, Jim.
All of it. Me, because I've predicted 3-1. 3-1 Arsenal. Anyway, come on. Let's see what we can do. I'd love to be positive tomorrow. I feel better about Tuesday's game and next week's game against Burnley, but I do worry about the Arsenal game.
Just imagine if we could win tomorrow.
Well, I think that's
what a boost if we did win. Oh, you can dream.
It's on telly and it's on early, so
yeah.
The one good thing is it gets it over with early, doesn't it? It gets the where we'll be miserable for the rest of the weekend, or celebrate the rest of the weekend, whichever.
You can spend the rest of the Saturday, mooching around the house and whatever,
worrying about relegation.
Yeah, or you can just have a nice drink in the evening if not.
Yeah, right.
Indeed.
Let's leave it on that one with Darren. So thank you everyone for watching. Just I'll do my regular plug. If you want to read my Newcastle newsletter, which is free every Friday, just click in the link below. That's there. And
beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. I know lots of people have read it this week, which is nice. So thank you. And come on Newcastle. Hope everyone stays safe during the storm. And let's hope Newcastle
storm down here.
Yeah, thanks to everyone.
Yeah, night, folks.
Good week. Let's hope good match tomorrow.
See you soon.
And a win.
And a win.